for all the analytic in, out, bubble, burst, blew up, got bigger, got smaller, you know, for the people that live at home and they're consumed with that. I mean, that's their life. That's their prerogative. I don't get mad at people when they choose to engage their emotions into whatever is important to them. But this is why I don't do it. Yesterday, I called Andy Ashley. I said, Andy, all right, talk to me about some of this net and in, out, and not in, out, just the net, and because it's a new formula. And we started talking, and when he said this part to me, I just started laughing. And that's why I don't do it. And, you know, people can say, you know, well, Frank's just trying to, you know, that time of year, coach speak. He's trying to coach his team and just one game at a time. We went into the game on Saturday with a 66. Tennessee went in with a 65. I mean, I think Tennessee's good. Last time I checked, we won the game. Their number went up too. How's that possible? So for all you guys that you know, and when I mean you guys, I'm not talking about just people in this room, that think that the most important thing in the room is that computer formula that some really intelligent guy put together. You tell me, how's that make sense? How does it make sense that they're 65, we're 66, we won, they lost, our number went up too, their number went up too? So you mean to tell me losing has the same value as winning? I mean, so that's why I don't, you know, I just started laughing. I hung up the phone. I said, I'm so happy I live my life the way I do. You know, I'm not consumed with you know, opening up some website to see who's being predicted as climbing into the bubble and who's being predicted as being choked with the bubble, so that website can sell a lot of advertisement and make money off of my emotions. I'm so happy I don't live life that way. But, you know, it's and I'm sure Ben Howland, who's been to 4 Final Fours or whatever he's been to, I guarantee you he was not reading that website to see if we got put on the bubble. So he's not going to sleep any more, any less, whether we're on the bubble or not. I just how anyone can understand what I just explained and actually think that is relevant, it blows my mind.
Frank, how's Jalen doing?
Looney Tunes. I think he's got Tweety Bird and Bugs Bunny confused right now. It's yeah, he wasn't doing. He's better today. He wasn't doing well yesterday. And what I mean well, I don't mean like he's in dire straits. He just, you know, he got whacked in the head pretty good. Which I'm glad you asked that. I'm against this in the NBA, but in college basketball, why is there a guy with a camera sitting where he's sitting at? Now I'm down a player because we got people sitting on the baseline for a college basketball game. You know, I'm not into guys getting paid. I'm into them getting more. We got to figure it out. But so now this kid making a basketball play gets hurt because of that. Come on, man. You mean to tell me that my youngest son made me put the All-Star game on yesterday, which I had no interest in watching, but he's my son and that's what he wants to watch, so we put it on. And they got cameras that, like, one camera is giving you a 360-degree look of the same play, that we still got to have a guy sitting underneath the basket to take a picture of a kid blocking a shot. I mean, come on, man. You know, it's we need to do better. That's always bothered me, and I never said anything about it because nothing's ever happened. Well, guess what? Something happened now, and there's no place for that. They need to find a better camera and need to sit in a better place, but they need to get off the floor because that's where the kids are playing at. You know, and it's not that guy's fault. It's just what's being allowed to be done. That needs to change. It's not that guy. That needs to change. Those guys don't need to be there. Whoever they work for need to invest and buy a better camera They don't need to be sitting there anymore.
Going back to your opening statement, the net's obviously used by the committee pretty strongly. What would you like for the committee to use in a strong manner? What kind of criteria? What would you like to see and emphasize more if the computer is emphasized a little bit less?
Who you scheduled, where you played, who you beat, who you lost to. That's it. That's all that matters. The RPI was like really popular. Like I've told you guys, numbers people know how to spin numbers to give you the information they're trying to sell you. So guys started to hire people and figure out how to beat the RPI number, and that's what happened. So then the RPI wasn't as popular anymore because teams that weren't real good figured out a way to schedule to get their RPI good, and and it created problems. There's got to be some kind of a base, and that's what the committee does. I've been in private rooms. They don't look at the net and say, so they're 53, so they're a 5 seed. No, that's not the way it works. That's a barometer. The people that are selling you on these numbers is because they're trying to sell advertisement to get you to watch TV and their websites. So they're trying to make money, so they've made a story out of this. It's who you play, where you play, who you beat, who you lost to. Plain and simple. That's what they're going to look at. And that's where, to our fans, rather than be consumed, are they Gamecock fans or are they bubble fans? If they're bubble fans, then they need to be consumed with all that negativity and all that stupidity that's being broadcast. If they're Gamecock fans, how can you not be excited about what our team is doing right now? So don't be wrapped up in that. Be worried about when we play at home next Saturday, create a crazy environment. Help us. We're right there. Help us. Help us. That's, and I've said this since the day I got hired. When our fans leave, if they're mad, that probably means I'm mad. So if we're all mad, it's okay, man. That's the way it works. If we're going to be in this, we're going to be in this together. And when they leave and they're happy, sometimes I'm mad. But if they're happy, I'd rather them be happy than me be happy. But our fans, don't get consumed with all that nonsense. That's people trying to sell advertisement on their websites and on their TV shows. Be consumed with your team if you're a Gamecock fan. The fact that our team is actually a good basketball team. The fact that our team is where it's at. The fact that our team is once again in the top 4 in the league heading into the home stretch. We got a chance to do some special things. Just worry about that. Let's stop talking about Stetson. Can you imagine if I coached my team every day and all I did was talk about Stetson? Really? Let's stop talking about that. If you're going to keep talking about Stetson, then let's talk about Virginia. Let's talk about Clemson. Let's talk about winning at UMass. Let's talk about having more road wins than any team in the SEC, probably more road wins than any team in Power 5 conferences. If you want to talk about Stetson, that's what you want to focus on, let's talk about the totality of the whole thing. I'm past all those games. I don't even bring those things up when I speak to our team. It's all about the next game. And I wish more people would be consumed, that are Gamecock people, would be consumed with reality, which is that. Let's worry about Mississippi State on Wednesday. And then what do we control? We control the environment in this building when we play. Be excited about coming in here on Saturday and helping us. If you're a Gamecock fan, to help us. Show up here Saturday. We're playing a team that's above us in the standings. We got a great opportunity. Help us. But that's, I'm going to treat this like the what do you call that? The NCAA stuff the other day. Let's talk about the team or the bubble. One or the other. Phil, it's almost spring football time. Don't you start. Now you see, I knew you'd know.
Franco, Mississippi State's got, they're pretty big inside. They got a lot of height, a lot of length. If McCreary can't go, who do you look to kind of take up a bigger role if he can't play?
Yeah, it's not just their bigs, their guards. Tyson Carter's 6'6", long arms. Number 3, oh my God. No, not Witherspoon. Number 3, freshman Stewart, long. Woodard, long. They're just long across the board. The only one that's not extremely long as Witherspoon, but he's a 6'2", ultra-athletic guard that's a 3-year starter for him. So that's where they're good. They're old, they're experienced, and their length makes it really, really hard to pass. And you know, everyone thinks it's about, I've said this before, size at the rim, so they bother you on layups. No, they bother you on three-point shots. They bother you on mid-range shots. When you drive the ball and you got to pass it, like you guys remember the pass Trey Hannibal turned over against Tennessee late in the game? He saw the play, but the guy sitting between him and the pass was 6'9" and John Fulkerson. So he saw the play and he tried to make the pass, and that guy's long, and you know, that length is that's what makes him good, and their experience and the fact that their coach is really good at what he does. And but that's going to be a challenge, Dave, is dealing with their size across the board. And I didn't answer the second part with the Jalen. We got bad play from Alonzo Frank, who had played well for us for the previous 3 games. He needs to play better. He needs to give us more than 4 fouls and 2 missed free throws and nothing else. He's got to be better than that, and he is better than that, and he will be better than that. You know, he's got to be better. Wildens, I thought, played fairly well, but then he committed 3 consecutive really bad fouls. We got to figure out a way to keep him on the court. And then I've got to figure out, and I slept on this last night, and I got a plan going into today, and then I'll make final decisions for tomorrow's practice and our final preparation. Doing what I did late in the game is sliding Keyshawn to the 4 a little bit. I played Nathan during the game, and Trey Anderson, I told you guys, has played a lot better. Maybe giving him an opportunity there and letting him get his feet wet a little bit and see what happens.
Frank, kind of sticking with the net, all that stuff, how do you kind of balance scheduling and doing things the way you like to do them, knowing that the committee kind of values other things in these algorithms?
Yeah, I don't. Here's one for you guys, okay? Because we've had this discussion before. I know who good teams are. I don't need no net or RPI to tell me who's a good basketball team. So we try to schedule good games. We try to schedule games that we know are going to challenge our basketball team, okay? The last game we scheduled for this season that we're playing in right now was Stetson. Well, you guys know where I stood at with that whole playing a non-D1 instead of. So the only time we look at numbers is for teams that have a bad net. It used to be RPI, bad net. If their net's bad, don't play them. Well, the schedule we had put together was strong, okay? And we had the one game to schedule, which I was going to schedule a non-D1. And just so many voices, I said, all right, let's schedule a bye game, okay? And Andy Ashley says, you know, Stetson wants to play. Donnie Jones is a dear friend. And I said, I don't care what their net is. If it keeps us above the formula that we got to have for the SEC reasons, let's play them. I want to help Donnie out. And their kid, Christian Jones, from here, just bring him back, you know. So we scheduled them, all right? So if we had beat Stetson, our number would be whatever. I don't remember it right now, okay? If we had scheduled a non-D1 instead of scheduling Stetson and winning, our net would be 10 points higher. So you tell me who gets hurt by playing that game. Because last year everyone says that by not playing another Division I hurts our resume or whatever you want to call it. Well, if we had won the Stetson game, the number would have been a certain number. If we had not scheduled Stetson, our number would have been 10 points higher. Higher like in the right way, not higher like closer to 0 rather than further from 0. So that's where you pay attention to those numbers, is make sure that in your bye games you don't schedule a team that's going to skew your number in a negative way. So, you know, with that said, I don't need a computer to help me schedule. I don't pretend to be really intelligent, but I pretend to have common sense. And I know what a good schedule and I know what a bad schedule is. And that's why 5 years ago, whatever it was, I was so insulted when everyone said that we put together a bad schedule. No, we put together a good schedule that ended up becoming a schedule with teams that have bad years. And, you know, because we don't schedule like in June for next year. Majority of those games, the home and homes, have been done beforehand. So, but with all that said, that's what I use it for, like for the bye games, to make sure that we don't schedule teams that are going to skew our number. You know, because at the end of the day, listen, we shouldn't lose to BU, okay? We shouldn't lose to Stetson, all right? You guys actually pay attention to what they're doing in their respective conferences? They're not bottom dwellers. They're good basketball teams. It's hard to beat good basketball teams. And, you know, and that's, you know, but still, we shouldn't lose those games. We're at home. We got to win them. Just like Houston, we shouldn't lose. We're at home. We got to win them. Our team had to figure that part out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we got it figured out, but I think we're humble enough now and respect it enough now that we're better prepared for those moments.
You talk about those moments, and then also where this team, you talk about where they're headed and where they've, you know, gotten to at this point. With this 2-game stretch this week, just how important is it for these guys to kind of remain humble, but also continue to emphasize getting that respect from their opponents?
Yeah, if you poll, there's 14 teams in the league. If you poll, minus me, 13 coaches in this league, eliminate the 3 or 4 new guys that had never coached against me before, I think the respect factor for South Carolina basketball, from John Calipari to Rick Barnes to Ben Howland, and what they're telling their teams, is at a pretty high level. You'd have to ask them, but from what they tell me, that's what I feel. And players respect the opponent based on how the coach speaks about the opponent. Right now, my one and only concern is not the week, is not 2-0, it's not one-on-one, it's not our net, it's not whether we can win or whether we can lose. My one and only concern is what I told you guys after the game Saturday. We were really bad in practice Friday, and we got lucky that we figured out a way to win. We need to be a lot, and we've been practicing well for a while. We need to be a lot better today. That's going into today. As I sat this morning and drank coffee and tried to figure out all the stuff that matters in my life that I have to deal with today, that was number one on my mind from the second I opened my eyes, is how am I going to handle today, because I need to get our team to prepare the right way. We're too young, too immature, not good enough yet to be able to survive if we're not sharp in preparation. And we weren't sharp going into Tennessee. And we survived because of what we'd done for the previous 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks maybe, from an attention to detail and practice. And we got away from it, and we almost paid the price. We got to be a lot better today.
What is the level of, I guess, defensive flexibility that you get with Keyshawn Bryant out there, and how have you kind of seen him evolve and develop since coming back this season?
Yeah, Keys had an inconsistent year because he just can't stay on the floor. You know, he was having a great preseason, hurts his knee. Then he misses, and like a young player that's trying to become a better player, not just an athlete, he misses, 5 weeks of practice time. And, and then we just threw him back in there because we needed him. And he started playing better and better and better, then concussion. And then as soon as he comes back from the land of Oz, he kind of wakes up and his knee's swollen, the other knee. And now he tried to play, but he couldn't practice, and then he wasn't very good in games. And he's really trying, but we need him to be more consistent. And for him to be consistent, he needs reps and to stay on the floor and peace of mind. But he's really trying. He's him and Jermaine are really good friends. When one's bad, the other one usually is bad too. and neither one of them was very good on Saturday. And but to his credit, we made a bad mistake on defense late in that game. Bad mistake, like just like I'm dealing with it here in a couple hours when I get in front of the team because I haven't seen them since the game ended. And he bailed us out. Because he rotated to take that charge on Fulkerson. But the reason he had to rotate it because we made a bad mistake, a just non-listening mistake, and a lack of attention to detail mistake. We made two critical mistakes late in that game. Bad mistakes. That ball screen coverage was a complete breakdown, and Keyshawn bailed us out. And then the other one is the free throw. One guy stood and didn't do his job. And those two plays almost cost us a game. So that's being addressed because it's you can't have those breakdowns. The other team makes a play, you got to live with it, but you can't have a breakdown.
Frank, I believe every team in the league has to go through it, but you'll play Mississippi State twice over the next 2 weeks, and as it turns out, you'll play Georgia twice in 2 weeks. Is that a disadvantage or an advantage for knowing what you're going to get, or is it just kind of strange to have to play them so close to each other in a home and home?
I think it's an advantage for both teams from a practice preparation standpoint because it's kind of fresh in your mind. So we're not going to deviate from who we are. First of all, this late in the year, we don't really deviate from what our team does. We don't like show up to a game and say, oh, my God, I can't believe they're playing triangle and two. That's – Bill Self did that to me one time in the Big 12. We played each other 100 times, and all of a sudden he shows up in the second half of one of our games in a triangle and two. I was like, really? Really? The guy that runs around and, had best man-to-man defense in the country year in, year out is playing triangle and two. Are you kidding me? But it's but I think when you play so close together, it's fresh in the players' minds, and it keeps you sharp to the preparation, what you're getting ready to deal with, and the respect for the opponent. I think it's an advantage for both teams.
Three more, John, Colin, Andrew.
You mentioned Trey Anderson. If he does end up getting some extended minutes in Starkville, what about his game has improved most since he's gone on campus? What about his game gives you confidence that he can help in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good-sized kid that's really, really active. Getting to the right place and ball handling are two things that I don't say he struggled with, but other people have done a lot better than him. So it's not that he's done anything wrong, it's that other people are doing things better. But down Justin, everyone slides over a seat. And now if we're down Justin and Jalen, everyone slides over another seat. So, he's grown as a player. I mean, he's got the ability to shoot. He rebounds the ball. He's active. Defensively, he hasn't been as consistent as I'd like him to be. But neither have a couple other guys. But their competitiveness bails them out of trouble. So, because everyone's moved over a couple seats now, why not throw him out there? We believed in him to offer him a scholarship, and he practices really hard every day. Throw him out there, see what happens. Let him go out there and get his feet wet, and and give him the opportunity to help us in games. Helps us in practice. Let's give him the opportunity to help us in games.
How's Justin doing? I know you don't want to give a time, but what's the timeline for him maybe getting out of his cast and kind of starting his rehab work?
Yeah, sometime the first week of March is when they take the cast off, and they reevaluate the healing of the ligament. And we wouldn't know anything until then. That's once that reevaluation takes place, the way it's been explained to me, then the option of like the young man at Alabama, which I can't believe he's playing because he can't move his left wrist. I mean, but the option of Justin of trying to cast a thumb where he still has wrist movement is on the table, but it's all pending on what that early March reevaluation tells the doctors.
Coach, I know you weren't pleased with, in terms of some of the execution Saturday down the stretch. You said you got lucky, but is there at least a sense of comfort that despite the fact the team wasn't playing to maybe its full potential, they were gritty and still found a way to
Yeah.
win? And does that help this team moving forward, knowing it cannot play its best and still find ways to execute down the stretch?
You got someone in my staff leaking stuff to you? I'm gonna have to start checking my guys' phones. You got no, Phil. You got sources outside my building. It's almost verbatim what I told the team after the game in the locker room. You know, I said thank the guy upstairs. He forgave us today because of how hard we've worked to create habits. He kind of gave us a pass today. I'm not going to take I'm not going to come in and be, if I was a woman, I say negative Nancy, but I'm not going to call myself Nancy. So what would I call myself? Negative Joe? Negative Ned? There you go. I'm not going to be negative Ned and come in here and try to beat you down after you had to find the resolve, the fight, because that was a hard game. Tennessee's personnel is good. Now that Vescovi has settled in as their point guard and he's understanding, Tennessee's personnel is really good. And to find the discipline to go win that game, I'm not going to come in here and beat you down. I said, but you can't ignore what happened yesterday and our lack of attention to details to today. If that doesn't change, then we're going to start losing again. That needs to be better. So that's almost verbatim what I said to the team in the locker room. I wasn't mad. I wasn't even disappointed. I was actually. Let me tell you something. Winning is always a lot better than the alternative. The alternative stinks. And anyone that says that you can teach when you lose, man, get out of here. You know, I'll tell you when you can teach, when you don't play well and win. That when you got a good team, they really pay attention when they know they didn't play well and they still win. That's when you can really, really lock in and share some information and they're vulnerable enough to listen. When you lose, man, I don't that nonsense about it's good to lose. They listen better. No, they don't. No, they don't. Losing stinks, and there's nothing good about losing. So winning's always a lot better than the alternative. I'm excited to show up at practice today and see who we are and where we're at. I like practice every day, but I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to feel my team, and based on the way that the message that we shared and the vibe I felt from the players after the game Saturday, I'm kind of excited to see how we show up and handle today. Thank you.